Hey, what's going on, guys? The video that I want to make today is just kind of going over how to deadlift without having any type of back pain, which I think is a common problem with people pulling the deadlift a lot with their back. It is a leg exercise. I know a lot of people think it's a back exercise, but deadlift really works on your hamstrings and glutes. But the main thing is core strengthening and and bracing. And I'm just gonna go over like real quick with you how to brace, and just keep that in mind because I mentioned bracing a lot during this video. And to brace properly, what you'll do is kind of like, you're gonna imagine that you're about to get punched in the stomach. So like, you're gonna tighten all your abs and your core muscles up. And then to make sure that you're doing it right, you'll take your thumbs on the outside of your abs, and or if you're like me, then outside of where your abs would be. And you're gonna make sure that you're expanding laterally. So when you breathe in and tighten your abs, you know, it should push your thumbs out laterally. And what that does is, I kind of imagine it's creating a lot of air pressure like around your spine in a way. It's it's making to where you don't leak any power, you're not having any loose spots in your back. It's making your back very stiff. You're building up pressure around it so it can't move. And you don't want your back to be like a fishing pole. You want to be solid and flat throughout the lift. And so just keep that in mind anytime I mention bracing during this video. But anyway, let's get into it.
The first thing I like to do before starting to deadlift is I like to do a little bit of a core warm-up, and this is called a McGill crunch. You're going to have one leg bent, one straight out, and you're going to brace like I talked about earlier, and just kind of elevate your head and shoulders off the ground as if you're trying to set it on a scale and make it weigh 0, is kind of how I like to imagine it. And the second core warm-up exercise that I like to do is a rotating side plank. You're also going to be holding a brace during this as well. And I like to do 5 on each side. And the last core warm-up exercise that I like to do personally is, this is called a bird dog. And, it'll be if you're using your left leg, you'll use your right arm. So opposite arm of the leg you're using. And I like to do 5 on each side of these as well. And you're bracing the whole time and trying to keep a flat back at the same time. Now this exercise here, what I've done is I've put a bar on a rack just low enough to where I have to slightly bend to grab a hold of it. And I've got 135 on the bar. And I put my hand right in the very middle and just try to hold the bar in an upright position, to where my shoulders ain't dipped down or nothing. And when I get into this upright position, I hold my brace the whole time, and I do about a 10-second hold, and I'll do that 3 times on each side, and that'll help, strengthen your bracing and your core. Now this next core strengthening exercise is very similar to the one we just done. You can get a dumbbell or a kettlebell here. I chose to use a kettlebell just because it was close by. But it's the same exact thing. You're kind of going to dip down out of position, and then you're going to get back into an upright position. And then when you get in that upright position, you want to make sure your shoulders aren't dipping or leaning or anything. You want to stand straight as possible. And when you're in that position, you want to be bracing the whole time. Engaging your core, blowing your air out into your abs, building up that pressure around the spine and bracing. And I'll do 5-second holds for 5 reps, and then I'll rep it out 5 times on each side. Okay, now getting into the deadlift, as you see here, I've already got my footing, and then I engage my brace. I get down, establish my grip, and then here's the next thing about really getting that back pain out, is you want to engage your lats. So as I transfer the weight back onto my heels, I'm kind of imagining like there's balloons under my armpits and like I'm squeezing really hard trying to pop them. So you'll engage your lats, rock back onto your heels, and then push straight through the ground. And if you're doing this correctly, you should be able to float lower weight like this, like 135, 225. You'll see after I engage, the bar's not really bending because the weight isn't heavy enough. So when I do this, the weight will just kind of come off the ground naturally. Okay, here it is with 225 from a different angle. See, I establish my grip, then I engage my lats, rock back on my heels, and then push straight through the ground. As you can see, once again, you know, the bar bends a little bit now, but even with 225, you're still able to float that amount of weight. So if you're doing this correctly, the weight should really start to come off the ground before you ever even start to do the rep. Now here's an example with 405. With 405, you're not going to be able to float that weight. So really what you're trying to do here, achieve, is getting the flex out of the bar. See how the bar bends first, and then I start my rep. And another thing that's going to help you too, once you start getting into heavier weight, is proper gear. As you see here, you know, before I start doing like 405 and stuff, I decided to pop a defensive and put a belt on. And with a belt, you can really feel your brace and stuff better. You're kind of pushing out into the belt, and it just creates even more stiffness and more protection.
All right, guys, that's going to be it for this video. If you found this video useful or if you liked it, you know, drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.